The designer has come up with an exclusive design, Magic V Flip, a high-end custom edition with Jimmy Choo. From the packaging, it's special. Let's unbox it. It feels so bling bling. Looking at this packaging, it really shows that if you're willing to spend the money, the visual effect you get is on a whole different level. A special blue color scheme, the designer's signature, and a full set of accessories. Besides the charging cable and charger, there are two completely different styles of protective cases. The charger, just like the standard version, is an 80-watt Super Touch with a USB-A port. For all protocols, the maximum output is 20 volts at 4 amps, which means it's a high-voltage solution. On Tmall, there's a detailed instruction manual, and it's recommended to take a look before using the product. In short, just make sure to take good care when unboxing. The overall look of the device is quite sleek and elongated. With the lighting, you can get a sense of how flat the screen is when it hasn't been folded yet. Later on, we'll also compare it with other models. At first glance, it seems to use a low reflection screen protector, so even under bright indoor lighting, the glare on the surface isn't too strong. Looking at the side, the metallic feel is very pronounced, with a blue matte finish. Both front and back have slight curved edges, feel nice. Other features include symmetrical antenna lines and a side-mounted fingerprint sensor. From this angle, you can see the device's flatness. The SIM card slot at the bottom is by an antenna. Oh, the high-end edition stands out. The more light, the more it sparkles. On top, two vertically aligned cameras, and above the main camera is a small square display with a curved design. Plus, the arc corners on the left and right sides are larger, while the lower arc corners are smaller. Focusing on the lower part, this back panel design is unique among small foldable phones. The decorative lines are shiny. Even in low light, it feels special. It almost looks like a natural gemstone surface. But actually, when you touch it, it's completely smooth. Also, the fill light here is separated from the area above it. Looking from another angle, you'll see the outer screen is slightly raised compared to the back panel. They're not flush. Some of you might find it odd and think it looks asymmetrical. But actually, if you look closely, you'll notice that most of the inner screen area has a small raised edge. This is there to protect the inner screen. So, the raised part of the outer and inner screens are designed to be somewhat symmetrical. When folded, the phone looks more unified. The camera bump is not particularly pronounced. Its specs are nothing to scoff at, 200 megapixels. Within the smart screen ecosystem, it feels unique. It looks pretty nice. Let's fold it. 3, 2, 1. Oh, listen to that sound. It feels premium. Let's open it and do it again. 3, 2, 1. Once folded, it's super compact and fits easily in one hand, no problem. Looking at the back when folded, it actually looks prettier. Personally, I think women would like this small, stylish design. Pay attention, the hinge is slightly raised, forming an arch shape outside the body. The hinge, and there's a co-branded designer logo here. I have to say, the whole device is full of design flair. Let's look at the total weight of the device. 204 grams. Honor's design is really in line with our daily usage habits. Take a look. When we hold the phone in our right hand, our thumb naturally slides along the right side of the screen. But if you look at most of the small foldable phones on the market right now, the camera is usually on the right side, which inevitably leads to scratches. Or it might get blocked. Alright, Zhangjiwen, let's power it on. With Magic OS 9, once in the system, you'll sense the screen-to-body ratio. It's a foldable screen, so ultra-narrow bezels are impossible. Sides protect the screen. Visually, top/bottom bezels are narrower, left/right slightly wider. Depending on habits, check for pre-installed third-party apps. Including system and third-party apps, there are 27 total. These are shortcuts, not actual apps. Compared to previous devices, this one has more pre-installed apps. The upper half is slightly heavier due to the four-dimensional curved screen, and the screen protrudes a bit. For audio and visual performance, the screen refresh rate offers 60 Hz and 120 Hz. Honor emphasizes its Oasis Eye protection, with extensive options including a dry eye-friendly mode that detects blinking frequency, and a defocus vision relief feature, a unique technology first on mobile devices. It also features 1920 Hz high-frequency PWM dimming. These are all features that Honor has been emphasizing in recent years. Now, let's listen to Honor's ringtones. They're quite unique. Honor has even given each ringtone its own exclusive icon, which is pretty rare and quite impressive. The stereo dual speakers are really good. The sound from the bottom is a bit louder, and the haptic feedback is quite refined and adjustable. It uses a side-mounted fingerprint sensor with a swipe input. Let's check the unlocking speed. It's very fast. Let's try it again. Still very fast. Now let's check the face unlock. Look, it can unlock directly. So, what about the external screen? Yes, it works the same way. Once you register, both inner and outer screen cameras can recognize you. Speaking of the outer screen, let's focus on that. First, it's a very large, square display. Top corners are less rounded, while bottom corners are more rounded, kind of like MacBook screen. It's worth noting that default apps on outer screen are quite plentiful. When you look at your phone in landscape mode on this big screen, it feels much more comfortable and impressive than smaller outer screens from before. You can add more apps at the bottom. Almost all built-in apps can be added to the outer screen. On the outer screen, let's just open a few apps at random. Personally, I feel Honor's approach is straightforward and direct. They don't require software to be specially adapted for the screen's square shape. Instead, it simply splits the outer screen into a small phone mode. As you can see, almost every app we open operates just like a regular phone with a small screen ratio. When you open these mainstream apps, they basically all work this way. So essentially, the outer screen is divided into two parts. One part is like a display bar, similar to a fitness band, showing things like the status bar, clock, and so on. The main part, on the other hand, becomes a small screen phone. Alright, so what do you all think of this approach? Aside from third-party apps, let's take a look at the system level. When we open the phone app, it also feels like the inner screen is just being scaled down. The operating logic here is a complete scaling down of the inner screen, with proportions slightly adjusted. But if you look at the calendar app, it's not a simple scaling, it's adapted for the square screen. When you add more apps, it'll give you a reminder. If apps aren't adapted, there could be differences between how they look on the inner and outer screens. Honor's method of scaling between inner and outer screens allows more apps to run, almost all fully on the outer screen. So, for the same content, text looks smaller on the outer screen. But opening the inner screen makes the display larger, easier to read. Personally, Honor's approach is that when using the outer screen, speaking of the camera, there's a nice design touch, the adjustable shutter design. This is interesting. You can move it to a spot where it doesn't block anything, and wherever you want to tap, you can take a photo right there. It's a cool way to do it. As for the camera, the Flip 2 has dual rear cameras, with the main camera featuring 200 megapixels. When you take photos, even if you zoom in on the high-resolution shots, you can see everything clearly. You can even see each individual eyelash on the model. The other wide-angle lens is 50 megapixels. Let's compare with a competitor's model. The style on Honor's side is more vibrant, regarding playground colors and clothing texture. For main camera samples, Honor optimizes skin details. Competitor's side focuses on play of light and shadow and expression of texture. Two brands have very different styles, so which do you prefer? 2x48mm portrait samples. Honor, you can see each strand of hair clearly defined. Default optimized effects. Competitor's phone adjust level of background blur in post-processing. Honor's skin tones cooler and fairer, porcelain look. Telephoto close-up samples. Skin texture and makeup details are very clear. You can even see the texture of the colored contacts in the model's eyes quite clearly. Besides regular photography, Honor has also added film-style filters from the 4th generation series, which make the colors richer and give the whole image a strong sense of atmosphere. Lastly, the V Flip 2 also supports shooting live photos. It supports dynamic moments as your lock screen. And there's the live collage feature social media. On Honor, you can create a 3-photo collage with one tap in the gallery, convenient. Finally, let's look at performance. This compact foldable is equipped with the 3rd generation Snapdragon 8 processor, smoothly run casual games, mainstream games like Honor of Kings. The battery, a 5,500 mAh Qinghai Lake battery 80W wired charging. In testing, it took 51 minutes to go from 0 to 100%, and with trickle charging to top off, it took 1 hour 17 minutes. Peak charging power was 61 watts. And here's the key, the Flip also supports 50-watt wireless charging, which is still rare among compact foldable phones. For battery life, after our standard 5 tests, there was 58%